Hello world, welcome, thank you for joining me. Expanding on the last few videos that I shared, so just to give a little bit of context, I was discussing the nature of God as being an infinite loving consciousness which exists in all things, and that the human being is a soul as a fractal of God, a piece of God. We are a piece of God consciousness who has pinpointed their focus on one unique experience and is experiencing reality from one perspective in a unique set of circumstances. And what I'd like to expand on today is this idea that really what I'm emphasizing, what I'm describing here, is this idea that we are in fact consciousness. In the physical realm, it feels like, well, I've been born into a body and this is me and I'm physical. But really, what we are is a spirit piloting a soul robot. And this is the shift in perspective that I would like to offer you today. This idea that the body, which is often described as being a vessel, is a soul robot. And I use those two words really intentionally because there's a bit of a paradox here. It's both a part of the soul, so it is divine, it is sacred, but it is also a robot. It's a piece of technology. It is the vehicle that you are inhabiting and that you are experiencing the reality through. So it's almost like two extreme sort of ends being true at the same time. It is divine, but it is also not who you truly are, whilst also being a part of your soul. It is the physical manifestation of your soul's energy. I've heard it before that said that the physical body is actually, for most people, averagely about 2% of your soul's energy. So what that means is that 98% of the soul of who you are is non-physical, is not able to be seen and touched in the way that we are used to interpreting someone's body as being the identity of who they actually are. And it's funny because when you think about the instructions that you give your body as you move, we become so used to the process of piloting the robot that it feels as though, well, the body is the actual extension of who we are. So I say lift my arm and the arm is lifting without having to think about it. But in fact, there is the consciousness inside of you, the soul, the essence of who you really are, that is giving the command, and the body is responding in the physical way to the command of the movement. But it happens so seamlessly and so quickly, and we're so used to it that we're almost not recognizing, we're not acknowledging that time difference between command and action that we're doing. You know, as we walk, the body is just moving so seamlessly, almost on autopilot. And I suppose another way to think about this as well is this is how things like remote viewing and astral traveling are possible, because what you're actually doing is taking the energy part of yourself, of your consciousness, and you're going to other places and other times. You're not actually restricted to having to be tethered to the physical body, which is experiencing this moment in time and space. So you do have the freedom to explore and expand yourself and move across time and space in a way that, well, for most people, the body is an anchor in one point of the timeline. And this realization has a huge impact on understanding things like death, because if you think of death as more of a transition, then I'm being reminded of my last analogy that I had used, where I described us as being spirits who have applied a VR headset, and then we wake up in the game thinking, oh, this is who I am, forgetting who we were before we started the game. And then when we experience a death of someone, we think, oh, this is terrible, this is sad. It's almost as though we're buying into a belief that this person has ceased to exist, as though they no longer exist. But in fact, all that has happened is that the soul, the spirit, the energy that was wearing the VR headset and was piloting their robot has removed the VR headset and has exited the robot. And so what we're left with here physically is the remains of a body. But the essence of who they were, who they always were, was the energy, was the soul, which continues to exist. It is eternal. It cannot be destroyed. So it's just a transition in experience, mainly for the people who remain incarnated. And yeah, it's a shift in perspective that I think a lot of people are waking up to and are starting to connect to the spiritual realm and realizing that, oh, hold on a minute, we can connect to the essence and the energy and the consciousness of every person who will ever live. It's not just past, but future as well. The only other final point I'd like to make on this point is that this leads into quite a big realization which shifts your perspective of reality, where there's a flipping that happens. And it reminds me of watching the program Stranger Things. And in Stranger Things, there's this concept of the upside down, which is a mirrored reflection of reality, but it's the other way around. And this is also a term that Jesus uses in a channeled text called A Course in Miracles, where he refers to upside down thinking. So Jesus and Stranger Things, you know, obviously have been passing notes between them or something, I don't know. So the point I'd like to make is this idea that while we're here and we're in the physical and we're incarnated and we're the soul who has placed on the VR headset, we are born into the simulation, the divine simulation. And when we get here, we forget who we were, we forget what we were. And then we move through life with this understanding that this is reality, and souls or spirits or people who have passed over, spiritual phenomenon, are things that are happening from the other side. And we use this term, the other side, which can also be described as beyond the veil. People will refer to beyond the veil being things that are, you know, in the unseen spiritual realm that we don't really know about. But what I would like to offer you today is a perspective of actually flipping that narrative and realizing that it's not the people who have passed over, who have left reality and are on the other side. In truth, we are all spirits, we are all energy beings, we are all God consciousness. And what we're doing is putting on this VR headset of agreeing to go into a simulated experience, and really we're stepping out of truth into a world of illusion. So it's in fact here, the physical realm of incarnation, that is the other side. While we're here, we've forgotten who we really are. And we think, oh, I'm a person, you know, I'm Alice, I'm this, that, the other thing. And we have forgotten that we are actually playing a character. But the character is not who we truly are. Who we truly are is divine source energy, infinite, loving, creative consciousness. And there's nothing that can happen here in this realm of experience that can change or threaten or alter that. So, yeah, contemplate that, think about it. What I'm saying is, welcome to the other side. You're in the other side, and we're here to explore, we're here to expand, We're here to learn about ourselves. We're here to learn about consciousness and God, and enjoy it, have fun, laugh more. I think, you know, we're all taking things very seriously here because that's how we've been programmed and taught that this is it. But if you think of it as being more of a ride, more of a game, more of a experience, that one day, like almost stepping off of a ride at a theme park, the soul and the spirit will step off at the end of the ride of the roller coaster and be like, wow, that was crazy. What a ride. Anyway, have fun with that. Think it over, contemplate, and sending you loads of love.